All right, everybody. Episode 6 of the Business Blueprint. We start off every episode by giving the flowers. This man, I have to give him credit for. We've been rocking with each other for a long time. He actually started our company, first job ever. Actually, probably, I think it was the first 5 jobs, if not more.
Baby. Verona, baby.
Verona, baby. We were in Monroeville, the first job.
Ooh.
Which was a flip over there. But, yeah, good friend, Alexander Hebert. Is that how do we pronounce it?
Hebert.
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 Alexander
French.
Hebert.
Oui.
So we'll edit that part.
No edits needed. We like that. Hebert.
So
I've actually signed HUDs with an R in my last name. Nobody ever spells it right. Half of you think it's Hamilton. Nice to see you.
You've been going back and forth in the game for a while, though. You went the hardest on social media at one point. The hardest.
And now I don't fuck with it at all.
Now you don't fuck with it at all.
Social media, love-hate relationship, super valuable for business. I think it's a great way to showcase what you're great at. Great for networking. I think it's extremely toxic and negative for majority of people that consume their personal lives with it. I think a lot of people compare themselves to highlight reels of other people's lives. I will say I do have like a private Instagram I think I have like 11 friends or some shit. My wife makes fun of me, but all I post is cool shit on there. So I would say I also only show my highlights. But yeah, I think you've leveraged it beautifully to help your business grow. I initially wasn't from Pittsburgh, so I built a lot of local relationships via social media. But these days, yeah, that's how we connected. And as well as most people that I know in the city. That being said, I have zero desire to be on there these days. If it's not snowboarding or mountain climbing or fishing or some outdoor shit, I don't want to watch it. But.
Yeah, I think, we've talked about this a ton over the last years. And you and I have had long conversations about everything in life.
Yeah.
And both of our views of social media have drastically changed from the start to now to different shit. Now, I'm with you. I go on there. I post once a day. I don't even post on business pages anymore. So I gave it to our admin, who's 21, understands marketing. It's not my game. She's so much better than me. Something I had to offload on the business side. Looks so much better. But consistency, I did very well.
Yeah.
Now, again, I'm with you. I post my once a day in the morning. I never look at it. I always show love to anyone who'll comment, though. I hate the people that don't even react to people that comment on it. I'm like, what the fuck? Would you, they took the time. You know what I mean? At least say thank you. But I'm a Reels guy. I love fucking Reels. Like, that is my shit. That is my TV. I don't watch TV. I haven't watched TV in forever, but I take 45 minutes in the evening when I'm laying in bed and watch Reels. And it's just the same as you. It's skateboarding, BMX dirt jumping, barefooting, and basically anything with boating oriented. And it's like your own favorite TV channels because you want to
follow avalanches, and I can get locked into watching snowboarders get caught in avalanches.
Yeah, I mean it's the same stuff. I'll catch something that I like and I'll watch it a little longer than certain shit that like Theo Vaughn says. I find it fucking hilarious.
He is funny.
He is absolutely ridiculous.
I got into the comedy shows this year. My wife put me onto that. Going to one on Saturday, Dusty Slay. I think I got like 3 or 4. So yeah, trying to just branch into, once again, social media. That's what it's great for, right? Yeah. I was exposed to those guys on social media, but I don't follow the business side. I think a lot of people, especially locally, compare themselves to other individuals that are in the similar market or similar industry. I'll use you as an example. So watching where you started in construction to where you're currently at, and I was privileged enough to come visit you at your new location. Shout out to that. You're doing big things. But if I'm watching you on social media or just aware of what your personal growth is, that shit motivates the fuck out of me. I come from watching you when you bought your first, I remember when you bought your DeWalt Hardy snippers at 216 Albert in Mount Washington at my 4-unit building. You guys didn't even have any fucking tools. Nope. And now you guys are killing the game, right? And so for me, that shit motivates me to really step my game up to the point where I came and picked your brain. And nowadays I'm coming to get information and knowledge and feedback from you to kind of help our company go to the next level. So in my case, if I'm going to watch other people's growth through business, instead of getting envious, I get inspired by that shit. But what I see is a lot of people get jealous and then start to pour hatred or root against somebody because they're successful. So yeah, social media, love-hate relationship. It's a beautiful thing if it's properly utilized. I think a lot of people turn it into something negative. I think a lot of kids are addicted to it.
It worries me. It freaks me the fuck out with my daughter. I'm gonna be honest with you. My 8-year-old loves the goddamn phone. And I like, my wife and so the way I always say it is like, why the fuck would we let her have it when we can't even control it?
Yeah.
Like, we can't control it as adults. Why would we ever give it to a kid?
Yeah.
Like, of course it's exhilarating. Like, you put on a VR headset. I'm like, what wouldn't be amazing about it? Like, you know, you're in there communicating with these little monkeys, and like, I was playing that shit. For one, the VR got me motion sickness as a motherfucker. I don't know if I'm old or just out of the loop, but I put it on. I played this game where you walk out of an elevator, you go up in an elevator, you walk out of an elevator, you walk on this board, and then you fall. You think you're dying.
That's crazy.
You think you're dying.
That's crazy.
It is too much for me. So I was like, listen, I'm out. I'm out on the game. The life has passed me by.
Yeah. I am trying my best to continue to embrace technology, but I'm behind the curve. I'm not on top of it as most people are. I enjoyed nature and being outdoors.
I'm with you. Yeah. Not 100%. And you know, I think we both, you know, we're kind of backwards in the sense of a little bit of, you go really, really hard in some of your spring, summer months, and then enjoy your fall and winters. Yeah. And snowboarding and hiking and all that stuff that you've really gotten into.
Yep.
Whereas I go super hard all through winter, and then I enjoy the spring, summer, and that type of stuff. So we're a little bit back, but it's getting harder. And I said this to a buddy of mine the other day. I'm like, dude, it's getting really hard to put in like 100-hour weeks. Like 100-hour or 80+ hour weeks used to not be shit.
Yep.
And this year it kicked my whole ass. Like, last year was tough, but like this year was brutal. Like, I'm at the point, like, I'm like, all right, I need to shut this off, because it's starting to get like mess with my emotional displacement towards people and just the way I act, even at work. Like, I'm just getting murdered right now, you know. But we do this every year. I said it to Ryan this morning. I'm like, why do we always decide to spend the most amount of money coming out of winter when it like monsoons and rains and we can't get anything done and everything gets pushed, and, you know, payrolls still keep coming and all the same stuff. But, you know, I think for both of us, even from when I started with you, even to where I am now and where you are now, we've all both shifted gears a ton.
Yes. And I get feedback from some of my friends that I pivot too much. And I think there's pros and cons to that, right? So I think in our industry, you have to be able to pivot. And sometimes that's due to the economy, that's due to the market, that's due to what clients are looking for or not looking for. At other times, specifically in my case, I learn by doing, and by doing, I learn by failure for the most part, right? So a lot of my pivot has come through, I don't know shit, let me try it. Ooh, realize I don't really like that. Let me try something different. All right, that was a little bit better. How about we try this? And for many of years, that was part of the growth process, where started as investor, then working for investors, then learn investors don't pay shit. They're also ungrateful. Then you try clients, and clients are more challenging, but you can make more money, and then it's so on and so forth. But I think that's the nature of the beast, right? And as we continue to grow and develop, we're always going to have to be able to shift a little bit. So I would disagree with people that say, pick one course and go all in on it. Well, if your boat sinks, brother, you're drowning with it, right? So I think it's good to be agile, be able to kind of maneuver with the times. But watching your growth, starting whether it was Monroeville, Verona, or the 4-unit in Mount Washington to where you currently are today, that was a tremendous amount of pivoting. So I think it's important.
Yeah, we've had in-depth conversations about too many eggs in one basket. So that's
too many shiny objects too. I am a victim of shiny objects.
Fuck yeah, we all had that year.
Yeah,
we all did.
I've had them for too many years.
Well, for sure. But like, well, what I meant by shiny objects, I think, was we were all kind of caught up in like some other, like you said, the social media stuff, what other people were doing. We thought maybe we could hit a liquor.
Cryptos
Yeah,
and
crypto,
NFTs.
NFTs.
Mine was Airbnb.
Yeah.
So I
And I want to touch base upon that because I know a lot of people. I was just and I don't go to networking meetings very often. I stopped at one the other day because I was in the area, and everybody's formula shifted.
Oh, yeah.
So everybody was trying to do the Airbnb shit, and that 92% of them don't do it anymore.
So I'm one of those guys. I'd like to think my Airbnbs are more creative and
No, they're amazing.
custom. And
No, they're sick.
I've
had the pleasure of seeing them. They're sick.
I like to say building is my form of art, right? So we create cool spaces. We want a home to be an experience. And it doesn't matter if it's the powder room, the kitchen, the master bedroom, whatever the case might be. So Airbnbs facilitated an opportunity for me to spend more money on the average rehab and also allowed me to keep a more expensive asset as a rental property. Because clearly if I have a $600,000 property in Oakland, it doesn't really make sense to keep it as a rental just on kind of the cash flow situation if it's a student housing or just a regular long-term rental. So when Airbnb was thriving, there was a great opportunity that I could keep $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 houses. I could rent them out, bring in $10,000 a month gross income. And it was a strategy that I really liked because I was able to do full gut remodels and really do some really creative stuff on the construction side. Well, then, yes, the market got saturated because as anything that gets popular, everybody came into the space. People got crushed because they thought they could just go get some subpar, mediocre, regular house, turn it into an Airbnb and thought they were going to start printing money. Like nobody wants to rent a house that's just like their house that they come from.
That you hit the nail on the head. You're the only person in that I seen that did it right in the sense of the model because you made them sick as fuck. Made them somebody actually wants to go to. So if I was going to look for an Airbnb, again, I've only stayed in two. I stayed in one, Joel's on Mount Washington, which he did the same shit, decked him out, really nice, plus one of the nicest city views.
Yep.
Again, not something that I have. I stayed in another one in Vegas, same thing, super decked out, cool shit, awesome art, great mountain views. Again, something I don't have.
Two things there. One, yes, make them sick, great experience. All the bells and whistles. We're really known for our coffee bars and things along those lines. But the next one is, what are you competing against? Well, you're competing against hotels. So I owned a couple duplexes, 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom units, and the rental's like $100 a night, $150 a night. Maybe it's $200 a night if it's like a football game, right? When you could go get a nice hotel room for right around the same price. So you're directly competing against a hotel.
Which may have some amenities.
Correct. And it's probably going to be nicer because a lot of these properties in Pittsburgh are much older and the neighborhoods aren't as nice or whatever the case might be. So the direction I went was larger properties. So who is going to come and spend a substantial amount of money? Somebody that has 8 to 10 people, right? That wants to be with their family the entire time. Maybe they have elderly family members. Maybe they're coming to town because their kids are graduating from college. Maybe it's a medical thing. Pittsburgh's number 2 in the nation for hospitals. So we went the direction of larger single families. So we went after 4 bedrooms, 5 bedrooms, 6 bedrooms, and then it's also going to be very location dependent. So we were in Mount Washington. We were in Brookline. Now, Brookline sounds like a unique market, but it's only 10 minutes from downtown. It was very convenient to get to anything. We have one in Oakland. We had some in the Hill District, Polish Hill area, right upside from the Strip, right? You could get down to the Strip District in a matter of 2 to 3 minutes.
Did you guys ever turn the one on Arch into one, or did you just you went a different route with that?
We went a different route. So Arch Street was...
Because you designed it for that.
Correct. And then we ended up moving into it. Property was in the Mexican War streets. So I actually ended up furnishing and was going to make it a live Airbnb. We actually just sold it, so we closed on it last week, actually. The turning point there was 2 separate things. One, Mexican War streets, parking is a nightmare. It's permit parking in front of the property. We have to go up one street for it to be free parking. But when I was over in the space, I was actually on my way to yoga one morning, driving down Federal Street, 6 in the morning. I found a guy slumped in the middle of the road. He was shot in his back. So I literally pulled up to a murder scene. Police weren't there. Nobody was there. I called 911. And that was not a great experience. So fast forward, what kind of clients are we looking for? Well, it's conveniently located, but although it's in the Mexican War streets, the neighborhood is rather rough still. It also had smaller bedrooms, so the way that you generate the best revenue is kind of your bed count, right? But you also have to have enough bathrooms to accommodate the amount of guests. So we had 3 bedrooms. I could jam 8 to 10 people in there, but it was a row house built in 1900, so it was rather small.
Skinny.
Yeah, so we ended up selling that one, but About 6 months ago, I was evaluating where do I make most of our money and where does most of our stress come from? Because as we continue to grow and develop and pivot, it's not just spend all of your energy on whatever generates the most revenue. It's how do I make money, but also have a little bit better balance in life and try to enjoy and have a little bit less stress. That's now more priorities for me these days. Airbnb causes a fuck ton of stress. Give you an example. Got a property in Oakland worth about $700,000. Very first guest, brand new full gut remodel, took about 8 months to complete. They stuck a whole chicken in the garbage disposal and broke the garbage disposal on the first night, right? Who does that? Would they do it at their own home? Absolutely not. But in an Airbnb, they'll destroy your shit, right? A lot of times there's parties there. For us, the management side of things was hard. The cleaners were a big challenge there. You can only charge so much for a cleaning fee. The houses are big. I have very high standards, so when I would go walk the property and audit it, I would never be happy. I would never,
With the cleaners.
with the cleaners.
It's a problem.
Oh, it's a massive
it's a huge problem.
Massive problem.
Our new construction side and our office sides, it's
massive
huge
problem. And then kind of looking at, okay, on paper it looks great. The house is going to do $10,000 a month in gross revenue. I'm going to get rich. Mortgage is only $3,500. Yeah, but after you pay for your utilities, your management fees, your cleaners, and then you're paying for the coffee and you're paying for all of the different toilet papers and toiletries. Like the net profit really isn't as big as is expected.
With a shit ton of that goes into it.
So much work and so much exposure, right? And we both know Greg Barr. Shout out to Greg. Yeah. God bless your brother. Great man. Great Christian man. He dealt with some very unfortunate situations.
One in the North, or what was that, Deutschtown?
Correct. North Shore, Deutschtown, call it that. He wasn't even the one Airbnb in it, but
it was co-Airbnb.
Yep, and they threw a party there and turned into a shooting. Everything was completely out of his control. So the amount of liability, the amount of management is just a lot, right? And so then once the market started to shift because Airbnb was getting bad feedback on the news, there was also a lot of subpar hosts. The rent started to go down. It was becoming saturated, so it was kind of a race to the bottom on price point. We decided, hey, the market's finally shifting on the sales side. Fortunately, we made it through a cold winter where interest rates were high. Houses were kind of stagnant. I saw the market shift a little bit. We sold everything. So we sold one in Brookline. We sold one in Mount Washington. We sold ours on the North Shore. We sold ours in Polish Hill. We have one left. It's located in Oakland. We're keeping it. It's doing great. 6 beds, 4 baths. But I have no desire to bring on any additionally. And I will say I'm really fortunate because I was looking for land about 2 years ago. I wanted to build the tiny houses. I wanted to get something with like a pond, be able to do the glamping side of things, build a tree house. Once again, because it allowed me to facilitate the creative aspect in the construction that I can't do on my day-to-day work. So I really was enjoying that. But I am so glad that I didn't find some property because I would be so regretful right now. If I had that, if I made the bet, I would truly be in a pinch.
And they're tough too because your model, and I remember we talked about this bachelor party, Brookline.
Oh yeah.
That was a huge thing.
Yes.
So you're bringing in those kind of people. Like they're there to party.
Definitely.
Like you're bringing in that 8 to 10 guys, girls, whatever. It doesn't matter. I mean, you're right. I mean, they're there to fucking party. I mean, they're going to do whatever they want to do.
And when I built that house, I will say I doubled up the floor joists. I put in 2 master suites. I had a 10-foot by 10-foot shower, roughly. And I doubled up the floor joists because I was like, fuck it. They can have a party in the bathroom, right? Get down. But I don't want the headache, so we sold that bad boy.
Yeah. I mean, I think regardless everybody kind of thought, again, it was one of the things that came up. We're going to get rich. This is this is going to be it. This is the thing in real estate that's going to change the game. Yeah, definitely. It's the digital real estate of whatever. And, I'm with you. I mean, we've talked a lot about, I bought the most rental properties that I ever have, in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Because what did for me was when I went through COVID, what I did was I went back and looked at every economical disaster that's ever happened in this country since the dawn of time.
Yeah.
So what I realized through the financial crisis, what I realized through the other ones is every time interest rates are high, the market stabilizes. Nobody wants to do anything because they're too afraid to pay interest and all this and yada, yada. But they missed out on a 30% appreciation on the back end.
Oh, yeah.
So I went on the attack. I bought 8. I might, $200, $250 a month still does what it needs to do, but I'm I missed all the other periods where you can then, when either some of them I may not want to keep forever, I might sell them in 2 years, might sell them in 3 years, I might sell them, when the interest rates do go down, you're going to see an absolute explosion in house prices again. And Pittsburgh's already being named one of the most inflated markets at the moment, which I don't necessarily believe is true. It might be true statistically, but we're so far behind the times. Yeah. Like, I talked to my buddies, you met them, some of them guys through Apex and stuff, live all around the country. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, I bought a round for like 60 grand. They're like, 60 grand? They're like, dude, you can't even get a doghouse in Atlanta for 60 grand.
Yeah. And that's the whole reason I moved here originally, right? Like, I moved out here from the Oregon coast. I'm a West Coast kid for sure.
Where everybody's cash flow negative.
Yeah, you buy for appreciation. I couldn't even afford to buy out there just because the level of entry was so high. So I solely moved here because the level of entry was so affordable. It's a great market, number 2 in the nation for hospitals. You guys have all the education. Yes, we have a depleting population because there's so many damn old people, which also creates an opportunity for there to be good purchases on the probate side and things along those lines. But houses are very cheap. My dad and brother live in Oregon and California still. They pay astronomical for little shitholes. And what you can afford in Pennsylvania is still a great deal for sure.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
It's extremely challenging in regards to construction.
Oh. Yeah,
And you're the king of finding the problems. I mean, you are the one.
Yeah.
Because of your creative, this is where me and you, this is where our paths really split in the world of construction. I don't have any creative desire in construction. Yeah. I'm just a business-oriented guy that runs off of systems, processes, and just sales. Yeah. Where you like the creative side almost more than the business side. Just like my buddy Penrod. He's the same way. He was on here, and he talks about it all the time. Yeah. He just cares about the cool shit that he can do.
I love taking a little turd and making it beautiful. Definitely. The systems and processes I lack. Definitely not my strength there. Learning how to hire professionals for what they're great at, stick to what I'm great at. That's definitely a continuous learning experience and some growth opportunity there. But yeah, construction.
I think a lot of us too, when we start getting going and we see even just the small, most minuscule amount of success, we start to become lackadaisical, like we know the game. Especially when we're younger. Because I say with you, probably you too. I mean, I started buying houses when I was in my 20s still.
Yeah.
Like, I had a fucking ego.
Oh, yeah.
Gigantic one.
Yeah.
Because of whether it was street success or I'm over here borrowing hard money thinking like it's mine or some shit. And you want to run on scale because certain people, that's just what we want to do. We gravitate towards just getting to the top. So,
I like to say I only have one play. It's all in. One bet. I got one bet, baby. It's all in. Yeah. Sometimes it's great. Sometimes it's not. They always preach like burn the boats, right? I'm that guy. Jump in the pool and then learn how to swim. Once again, you can drown and die. Fortunately, I haven't died yet, but had a couple close calls for sure. But we're in the same there, and I would say majority individuals wired like us are. Like, if we're going to do it, then we're going to try to be the greatest ever. And it's not a matter of comparing ourselves to one another. I'm not trying to be better than you. I'm trying to be the greatest version of myself. Once again, life is super short. But that's the only way I know how to play the game. But it's good to be counterbalanced with a little more stability. I personally have never had stability. So when I play the game of business, it's like fucking chaos because that's all I've ever known. So a little balance there is important for sure.
It's all kind of the same thing though. So same as you, when we very first started, we scaled immediately and never stopped. Yeah. I planned to stop and then COVID happened and then we scaled out of necessity. Yeah. We scaled out of not dying. So it was, okay, we need to take contracts, whatever they are. It doesn't matter. We got to get money in the company because I need to make payroll. Yep. So then last year we had our first actual successful year. We were actually able to put money away and do things. And we've always been on the same page of like, okay, we're always going to invest back. Yep. And I'm very frugal when it comes to money in regards to, because I want cash on hand. So when an opportunity presents itself, we can attack. Yep. It's the same feeling now because, and you'll have those years. So we had our first year where everything kind of all fell into place. Like money came when money needed to come. Deals came when deals needed to come. A couple little hiccups, but very minor. All in all, very smooth year, very successful. Now we've had massive amount of hiccups in the started with about the end of Q4, but really rolled through Q1. I mean, we've had interest rate backouts on builds, people that just decide to change their mind and as a business, I think we have a hard time, when you get to a certain point with a client, you're like you need that money. Yeah. Like you may have already spent it or you're allocating it to something that's coming up. So now we are spending all of our operating capital and going back to where we were couple years ago. Not as bad, but it feels the same in the sense of, that feeling that I always tell everyone of the fear or the chaos, or it comes and it's going to go and it comes and it's going to go. And no matter how much the money comes, we're going to spend it on something and then we're going to be back into chaos.
Yeah. It's,
and I don't know and honestly, I think it might have been worse because I'm having a hard time.
Well, you're continuously pushing for growth. So it's going to be continuous discomfort. And absolutely, when you're making those investments and bets, well, you got to execute on the back end, right? What I've realized, especially having so many close friends that own similar businesses and everybody does it on a big scale, and whether it's roofing or real estate or building houses or whatever it is, we're all stressed the fuck out. And it's always hard. Yeah. So my biggest perception is the stress is never going to stop. No. It's all a matter of how we deal and manage with the stress, right? So that's why the personal routines are so important. Yeah. How we're processing things are so important. Some people will tell us you need more balance. Well, there is no such thing as balance when you're starting a company and you own a company on your own and you're really trying to build something. In my opinion, there is no such thing as balance. Balance looks like 100-hour weeks and then unplug for a week on vacation because I don't want to kill everybody or kill myself, and then we get right back into it. But yeah, the cash flow, it's always stressful. Because same thing. So you're making a massive play because you're way bigger than I am, but we just hired an interior designer and now we're bringing on more staff. At the end of last year,
which is a good play for you. We talked about this. This. You're gonna like.
Oh yeah. I've always been great in the field, not great on the management.
Yeah, you're gonna like it.
resources side. So now I'm kind of shift focuses there because I can only do so much and my bandwidth is only so much. But same thing, it's going to put a strain on my cash flow. And now because we're increasing our overhead again, which I've done in the past, and I shrunk down due to stress and due to just guys not performing on the level that I've expected, we scaled it back. And now we're scaling it back up. Correctly, to the best of our abilities, right? Because at the end of the day, we're still
But you're
on
not
board.
scaling out of necessity. You're scaling because you want to.
Correct.
That's the difference.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's at the end of the day, the majority of it comes back to you're only as good as your team, right? So your ability to onboard the right people and then properly train the right staff. That's something I've fallen short on in the past on the management side of onboarding is spending enough time. I've done it. A couple of my friends do it. We have a problem. You think you could just go hire a body and throw money at it? I've seen so much money get thrown away trying to just throw money at a problem that doesn't resolve it. It's the time and attention.
Construction's like Pac-Man. It'll just keep eating it.
Oh, yeah, and the people, right?
Yeah.
Like investing in the wrong people can be absolutely detrimental.
I have a hard so training our second salesperson. I don't know whether it's just me or it's my way of training. So when I get into a certain situation, this game is so difficult on so many levels that I can't be hands-on with you in regards to this. Like, you have to learn that we're going to learn.
Yeah.
Like, listen, we're going to get our fucking asses kicked together, and you're going to see the real deal of this. Like, there is no sugarcoating this shit. Like, it is, you are going to see utter fucking chaos from the second you walk in this door to the second you leave, brother. So, you know, it's hard to like sit down and be like, okay, we're going to micro minute line items and prices. I'm like, dude, this is a game of you're going to learn every time you get punched in the fucking face. Yeah. Now, new construction is a little more systemizable in pricing and options and things of that nature. Remodeling is not. So we've been doing this. We've been doing client remodeling hard for the last 4 years. And we probably do 50, 60 projects a year.
It's a lot.
And
it's a lot of projects.
I was just looking at numbers this morning. We just did an $84,000 master bathroom. Got fucking asses kicked. Made like 17 grand. Took us like 2 months. You know, like, but again, because like
I stopped selling bathrooms, by the way.
We do really good on them. This one's gigantic. Yeah. And again, you know, you're because we don't do bathrooms that size normally. Yep. I had no idea where pricing was, and I had no idea where anything was. And there was a ton of full custom stuff, steam shower, tiled ceiling, soaker. Like, just again, the product's amazing. Yep. But when you step into a world that you're not familiar with, you're gonna learn, and you just hope you don't lose. You know, and that's the thing that I told my sales guy. He was like, well, you know, like, I'm like, listen, bro, we have budgets for days. We have spreadsheets for months. But like, when we step into a world that's not a 6x6 bathroom anymore, we're still throwing shit at the wall. Like, we're guessing the best of our abilities. And I hate using the word guessing, but it's true. Like, you have no historical data. And all the historical data that I do have that's old, that's over 2-3 years old, it's shit anyways, because everything's changed so much. You know, so we do a lot of projects, and we still get our fucking ass kicked on certain projects, you know.
And it's a never-ending growth process. So, like, I'm currently really focused on onboarding the interior designer and getting the interior designer up to speed because I don't want to push my sales volume past capacity until that's onboarded. Well, as that's going on, now I need to work on my in-house manpower. So now I'm trying to find those A-level players out there. And then once that's fixed, I need to go work on the finance side of things to track the KPIs and the numbers better. It's just a never-ending thing. No. When I just went through this interviewing process for our designer, 3-step interview, phone interviews, personality assessment, in-person interviews, and then we presented a job offer. The in-person interviews, had them come meet us at active projects, walked them through, introduced them to the team. But I was transparent as humanly possible to let you know I am unorganized as fuck. Reason being is, as we're going to continue to onboard new individuals into the management positions more, I think it's very important to be crystal clear on what you're signing up for. Yeah, because I did
the same thing.
It is fucking chaos.
So our sales guy came from a kitchen and bath world.
Yep.
So he was kind of familiar.
Yep.
He wasn't ready for this.
Yeah, he wasn't ready.
This is fucking
different
pandemonium, dog. He even said that to me. He's like, Saturday. He's like, I don't even know how you do this. I don't even know how you wrap your head around this. I'm like, he's like, dude, it's so much. I'm like, well, yeah, dude. And I'm like, and it's really tough for people that are employees to think that, like, because I'm a very free reign guy. Like, I'm not a micromanager. I don't ever really check in on any of my people. I sit in my office now by myself. I get my shit done. We usually used to sit more of a group as a team, and we're going to get back to that. But we've all been so slammed on our own individual stuff that I don't know what half of everybody does anymore. We're at that point. And I have full faith in it because other than our administrator, who's been an amazing bring on in the social media side, I've been rocking with everybody for 4+ years. So, like, I don't need to babysit you anymore. But it's really hard for, like, even my sales guy to understand that, like, dude, we're going to lose some shit. We're going to lose some shit, man. Like, we're going to lose some money. We're going to lose some jobs. We're going to have people that are not thrilled with us. And that's just because you're going to be learning, man. And I'm willing to sacrifice all that for this. Because the only way you're truly going to learn is to see how this business really operates. So on top of the day that I had the other day, I was driving to school doing my spelling words with my daughter. We get a 1-star review, a random 1-star from a lady who couldn't understand that I went on a remodeling appointment in 2023, decided that the project was outside of our scope. Was very upfront with her. Said project was outside of our scope. She doesn't understand the logic in that because we built houses, so we're capable of everything, right? Well, 2 different businesses, not true. Then her daughter came in to pricing for new construction. Felt our pricing was unfair and unethical. 1-star.
What does that mean?
She couldn't afford it. In a polite way. Couldn't afford it.
So,
and we entertained the interview. I mean, we had a meeting with her. We went, everything was good. Sent her over some floor plans, some pricing. Said our pricing and process is, I can't remember the word. It was unfair.
That's crazy.
Never worked with her. 1-star. That's the attacks we get now. In the sense of when that's the stuff that I really had to wrap my head around. And my lawyer told me this. He said, you're going to get attention now that, a lot of the attention is the attention you're not going to want. From the building and all the other stuff and things of that nature. And I had to really step back when that started to kind of happen immediate. And I really wasn't ready for it all like that. I never think in that regard just because we always try and, just like you said with sewer lines, I mean, I've given away millions in free shit. Millions in free shit. Because no matter what, I mean, we always go back and fix our issues, whatever they are, doesn't matter. Especially if you gave us a review and you're early on, I will come back and fix your shit years later. And we build great relationships with a lot of our people. And, when, this last couple weeks, we've had some incidents of people saying some things that aren't true and some stuff that happened that wasn't true. And I'll be honest, I was talking to Steve about it in the office. I mean, I had tears, man, like, because we work so hard in this business. This business is so fucking hard. I mean, I've done a lot of shit, man. I've done a lot of illegal shit, some complicated illegal shit. This is by fucking far the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life. And for people to say things that are not true, and especially when you know that you've done, I don't want to say every single thing, but damn, man, you're way up there to doing everything the way the game should be played. That it's really hard not to take it personal.
I still take everything personal. I try my best not to. The greatest thing that helps me in that regard is putting perspective on, imagine if I was wired like that 100%. To where I'm going to wake up today and try to come shit on this man's parade because whatever, I couldn't afford it. I'm a hater. I felt like his shit wasn't fair. Like, so,
and that was like, and that was even like, and I don't get too personal in a lot of this shit, but even when that stuff, I went on and, before the stuff was taken down, I kind of checked everything out, and there was people on there, like, in that group specifically, it is a cesspool group of a bunch of motherfuckers who don't do shit. You know what I mean? And when you're an outsider looking in, like, when you run volume, this game will fucking consume you. every aspect of your life you will give to this game. And, you know, I had a buddy of mine who's really helped me out the last couple of weeks at our new office, and he's seen how business operates. And he, you know, has his comments about, like, you know, when people look in, they think every business is just like perfect. I'm like, bro, this is running a fucking business. There is no perfect. It is chaos. People are going to do things that you don't want them to do. Things are going to happen. Like, it's all in, you know, and
it's everyone's business.
Everybody's business.
That's what I've been learning the more that I've been around.
Everybody that thinks somebody else, like, from us as business owners, always look at another business owner like their shit's way more together than ours.
Yeah.
I started to realize that is not true.
Yeah.
You know, definitely the last few years.
Definitely.
Especially when I went to that networking meeting again, I kind of reassured, like, you know, and I'm not a big networking guy. Like, I'm going to say it, like, when I network with people that I love and respect, I call you.
Yeah.
Who do you got in this situation? I'm not going to some random room for people who don't have business, I ain't got no business. You ain't got no business. What are we doing?
Let's go buy coffee together.
Yeah.
Let's go buy coffee.
Let's go stare at each other when neither of us have business. You know, like,
I've had a lot of coffee meetings early in my career.
Yeah, I don't do that shit
neither do I. But I probably got, like, no business out of any of them.
That's what I mean. Like, so I'm very, like, when I have an issue, like, I'm calling you, I'm calling Dustin, I'm calling, you know, Chris, I'm calling the guys that we really broke bread together. Like,
that's why the relationships are so important, to be able to leverage experiences and knowledge from one another to be able to overcome barriers. Like, that's what it's all about at the end of the day, for sure.
So how do you, and yours is a little bit different. So we start hiring people really early on. So now that you're scaling up again and you're putting departments in place and filling gaps, how are you not allowing one side of your business to get fucked up when you're focusing on one side of the business? So because you kind of oversee a little bit of everything.
Yeah, I wear way too many hats.
And you don't have any partners. That's why I'm bringing this up. So I had two partners.
Yeah.
I have two partners. And that's why I was able to spread out a little bit, maybe grow.
Well, shout out my brother Jason. I like to consider him a partner.
Jason's a hell of a guy.
Yeah, he's holding down construction to the best of his abilities.
And he's been rocking since
day one.
Yeah, day one.
I wouldn't be here without my guy. So all credit due to Jason for sure.
So how are
he's
you
just handling
as much now that you are kind of working more on the operational and on the business?
So it's all about prioritization. It's solely it. So one, revenue always has to lead, because without money, everything dies.
Yep.
So I always have to push revenue. And then what's the second most important thing? Well, construction's good because I got Jason over there. We're always going to give you a great product. It's the process that I struggle on. So the way that I evaluate it is, where are my biggest pain points? What is going to jeopardize or be the biggest negative impact on a potential client? And a lot of that comes down to client communication. And if it's on a full project, well, selections are very time consuming. The design is very time consuming. So it's a matter of prioritizing where is the biggest pain point, focusing on that, try to fix it to the best of the ability, and then move on to the next process. Fortunately for me, like the construction team, my guys have been with me for a long time. Once again, shout out Jason. They're going to hold it down over there. Is there ways for us to improve? For sure. Can we get better on managing materials? Absolutely. Can we be a little better on systems and processes and double checking some things? For sure. But we always deliver a great product. So that's probably the least of my concerns out of the whole process.
We run the same exact way.
Yeah. So the big concerns becomes the middle. We're really good. We're pretty good at selling it. We're really good on building it. It's the middle. That's the big pain point for me. And I've always neglected that part, because I either want to go chase the sale or we want to go build the house. It's the middle part that's
to get the cash.
Yeah. That's it. Because we're either playing the cash flow game and we got to continue to pump out construction. So it's the middle area there. And so for me, looking at this year, I don't want to grow. I need to get stable. And I need to really focus on the areas that I've never focused on, which is the systems and processes, and slow things down. So at the end of last year, I trimmed the fat, right? I had some guys that weren't producing on the level that I expected them to, so we got rid of them. And then the whole goal for this year is, let's get organized. Let's get systems and processes in place. Let's continue to do what we're great at. Let's improve the areas of opportunity that we have. And then I can start to push again. My problem is I've always pushed and I've always tried to grow. Even when I didn't know shit, I'm trying to push and I'm trying to grow. And a lot of that might come from just trying to get as rich as possible or be as big as possible. Early days, it might have been an ego kick, right? A lot of guys in real estate, it's all about the unit count and shit. You can make some really bad decisions just trying to become the biggest and baddest, right? Whatever the case might be there.
500 now.
Right. And I've been there. And then I went and sold. I remember a couple of years ago, the goal was to buy 100 units. by the end of the year, right? And one year I wanted to buy 100 units because that's just what I was on. I think the same year I sold 40 units, right?
Because you ran it up in units.
Yeah, and then I went back in units because I also don't like the stress level there, or the management wasn't on point to the level that it should be, or whatever the case might be. So that's it. It's all, in my opinion, being a leader and running a company, you better be good at prioritizing, and you better be good at managing problems. And then the biggest part is lead by example. So watching the adjustments that you made in your personal life when COVID happened, and your self-discipline, and kind of making the financial cuts and things that you did, which impacted your own personal living, to be able to invest in the company was a big play. So for me, I had to do something similar. Like, I took way less vacations in the last 9 months than I would prefer to do and typically have done in the past.
And I only spoke to you about that.
Yeah.
Like, I only spoke to you about
Well,
that. Like, nobody
sorry, guys.
else.
Surprise.
No, I mean, it's like, what I meant was I knew I was in a situation.
Yeah.
And I knew that, like, nobody else would understand my situation but you.
Yeah.
You know, and I knew
Which
that,
you
like,
played it perfectly. And
I knew that when I was going through that you would have the understanding in the forefront to give me the direction I needed to get to that next level.
And it goes back to the value of the relationships, right? And I need to do a better job leaning on my resources, because I have a lot of people that reach out to me with challenges or perspectives that they need advice on, and I love to help. I think I'm very fortunate to be in the position that I am, and a lot of people come to me for kind of feedback, but that's super valuable, right? Because making the adjustments that you did allowed you to financially get healthy, to be in the you're playing on a major fucking scale. Yeah. So now I'm knocking on your door trying to, hey, come teach me some systems and processes, bro.
Yeah, and the door's always open.
No, which I appreciate.
You know, so would you, looking back, so this platform, we always want to touch base on, like, you know, again, you do more remodeling than I do.
Yeah.
I do more new construction, but you do more remodeling than I do.
Yeah.
Looking back early on in your very beginning, what would you do differently now, looking at where you are now? And you've been doing this. So I met up with you 2017, I think it was, either 16 or 17.
Yeah.
And you were just getting started.
First I stood Bryan up for my first interview. Then I interviewed with the company. It was with Urban Capital Group. Shout out Archie. I learned a lot from that man.
Love Arch.
And they brought me and Jason in to interview us to take on projects. And I lied to them and said I had a big crew and work trucks. And I had a Mercury Grand Marquis I parked around the corner because I didn't want them to see that I pulled up in that, because I actually did not have a work truck. But I convinced them. They gave me a shot, and we converted a lot of properties and learned a lot from them. And we've gone a long way since. But once again, shout out Arch. The guy taught us a lot. What would I do differently? I tried to grow too fast. So once again, whether it's greed or just chasing success or trying to get some money, because we don't come from that, I would slow down to really get organized. I think lack of organization has always been a big thing with the systems and processes and SOPs. Really understanding your numbers. I'm the guy that takes too much action. So you always hear about, like, procrastination and people that are taking time and dragging their feet. And then you have other guys like myself that don't get educated enough and jump in the pool. I think there's a happy medium there. I'm all about taking action, but I've made some very expensive mistakes due to my lack of knowledge. So I would say biggest thing, slow it down. Don't try to get rich overnight. Understand that you're playing a long game. And healthy growth is better than having 15 W-2 employees. Then you're bleeding out everywhere. I was selling projects that weren't profitable just so I could keep my staff busy when my staff really didn't give a fuck. And
you hear about that a lot.
Oh, I did.
And I'll be honest, when I went to that networking meeting, I heard that statement probably 20 times.
Yeah.
From 20 different people.
Yeah.
Who were like, I got some good guys. I'm just getting shit to keep them busy. I'm like, you are on a fucking sinking ship.
Yeah. And I did it for my son.
And you just don't know it yet.
And the unfortunate part is this team, a lot of them don't understand how hard you're working just to be able to keep a check coming.
And they don't understand how expensive it is to just give them shit to do.
Correct. Extremely expensive. Yeah. So that would be the biggest thing. I would say grow slower, understand the numbers and organization and processes better. And then you could kind of crank the heat up. Don't get caught up in the unit count. Don't get caught up in, hey, I want to do 2 million, 5 million in sales. Yeah. I would rather be profitable. I've also seen that firsthand. Couple companies that grow really big, but the net profit is really small.
That's the way it goes.
You know, you can work and do 10 million a year and make no money, or I could do 2 million a year and make a lot of money. I mean, kind of choose your battle there.
That was a conversation that really when we were talking to DGA, I think we were with Arch and them that time, and I think they were $100 million company.
Yeah.
I think their net profit was 2%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So much headache.
I mean, it's
so much risk.
And that's 100 million construction.
Yeah.
That's
it's insane.
That's 100 million problems,
Yeah.
That come with that $100 million. And I think that's, from when you talk about jobs and you talk about careers and you talk about paths, I'm not disputing that any job is not a difficult thing as a business owner. I'm not. I would never downplay anybody. If you're out there as a business owner, shout out to you because this shit is really, really tough. Yeah. Construction 101 inside a client's home for any reason, whether it's new construction or remodeling, you are service business 101. Yep. You are going to get your ass kicked because you're going to get what's called scope creeps. Every client does it. They fucking try and take whatever they can from you for free. Yep. I don't give a shit who you are. This is how it goes. Yep. Listen. Everybody as a consumer tries to get as much as we possibly can for our dollar, and that's the way it goes. And if you don't have those systems, processes in place, and we're pretty good, man. We got a pretty good.
I give away a lot of free shit.
Wow.
Because I'm a yes man.
Well, so are we. Because we're like, well, if we don't, we're going to get bashed.
Or I'm right here. Oh, it'd only take me an extra hour. But then there's 30 of them.
That's what I mean. I've learned that when, this is what I've learned from all construction guys. And they tell me an hour, that means 2 days.
Yeah.
Like, when you're like, I'll be done in an hour. I'm like, all right, you mean Wednesday?
Yeah.
Like, all right, I'm going to put in 2 days for this. All right, we're good, right? Okay, 2 days, hour, 2 days, wing, wing. All right, 2 days. Because again, I don't know how to swing a hammer that much either. So I got to rely on other people that are going to tell me, hey, how long is this going to take? Well, not 3 hours. It's going to be fucking 2 days. You got to be very tight on your front end and your back end. But also one thing that is very important, and I think a lot of companies lose perspective of, is warranty. How you handle warranty will define the way your outcome of your career.
Yeah, because it's going to happen.
It's for sure
you can't renovate hundreds of homes without some kind of unforeseen problems happening.
Yes.
It's going to happen. So how do you respond to it? Yeah. I mean, you better go fix it for fucking free, and you better be there tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's it.
100%. Don't say a word.
And then learn from it. How did it happen? Hopefully it didn't destroy too much shit.
That's how you create real systems and processes.
I mean, if you don't do that, you're going to be very short-lived, which we've seen in this cycle of business since we've played the game. We've seen guys go from zero to making millions to zero.
Gone.
Right? So it's all about, you got to, once again, consistency is what it comes down to.
And I think early on, too, I mean, we bounced around and did every job.
So did
I.
We hung 400 sheets of drywall. Oh,
yeah.
My God.
Yeah, we don't hang. Well, I hang drywall on small jobs, but, it's the same thing. We'll do any job. We're very particular on what we take now, but I'm also more particular on who I work with.
Yeah.
I've learned that over the years in regards to, and you can't see it in everybody. Most of our clients have been extremely awesome. I have great relationships with everybody. I could probably count on one hand over the last 5 years. Yeah. And that's, over 70 new builds, and that's well over 150 remodeling projects of people that I just was like, oh. But again, I'm very upfront with people in the beginning. I'm like, listen, these big renovation projects, we're going to come in day one. We're all going to be high-fiving. 4 months later, we're all going to be like this on the way out because you're tired of me. And listen, that I get it. Construction's a hard game, and we're going to go do it again over here. I try and stay away from some of the larger projects now. Basements are a little different because if you have a walkout, you're not really bothering everybody. They lock the door at the top. It's all kind of got your own space. Yep. But like if you're ripping someone's whole first and second floor
and they're living there.
I got fucking murdered on one in Mount Lebanon this year, dude. It was like a $275 remodel. I think we made $14. Took us like 9.5 months. It turned out so good, but dude,
why?
Oh, fuck.
Why?
Mismanagement. Jumped around on scope. We lost manpower during it. We hired the wrong painters. Dude tried to sue me even though he was on drugs. And this was a referral from somebody I knew.
Who, the painter?
Yeah, dude was charging like $9 a square foot. Like, it wasn't a cheap painter. Like, he was supposed to be a high-end painter.
Yeah.
Dude, we were fucking peeling the ceiling off because the drywall mud work was defective. I repainted that entire house 3 times. Wow. Yeah, I didn't say a word. Yeah. Just ate shit the entire time. Like I said, I think I made $14. But again, it just kind of showed us like, we're not, those long projects, you better be very good because they're long and the people are going to get burned out and you're going to get burned out. And if you miss, so what happened was drywall went sideways and we never caught it.
Yeah.
Not that we didn't, it went sideways and we couldn't stop it. It just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And, we finished it all the way up until, ordered the wrong front door, which was $5,000. Yeah. Shit like that, we're not, anybody in construction, you're going to have there's always a year where one or two, and I hate it every time. I really do. It bothers me. Like when you're paying for our services, I want everybody to have a great experience. I really do. Like I genuinely really want everybody to have a great experience. And we work so hard for that.
Yep.
And when you're that client, that's that one or two jobs a year that just gets so fucked.
Yeah.
You just want to bury your head in the sand.
And we take it so personal.
Oh my God. Because I know that like you don't deserve it and I'm getting my ass beat too. And I don't deserve it and I'm getting my ass kicked. But like I hate it when it's that one or two a year that just gets away from you and you can't control it.
Yeah.
Like your Swickley one.
Yeah. Swickley, clients are great. Place is going to come out fantastic. This third-party engineer fucked me from the beginning. Yeah. And, but yeah, I underestimated just the 5,800 square foot home was built in 1902. Exterior walls are pure sandstone. Like repiping that, we're chiseling through stone to run our stacks. Like it was just a lot of unforeseen things. But same thing. It's going to come out beautiful. Clients are going to love it. I didn't make a fucking nickel though.
Still up.
Yeah.
Sold everything for it.
Yeah.
People don't get that.
Yeah, so
people don't get the level that we go through to really keep this thing afloat.
Yeah, so the level of commitment to make sure that you uphold your end of the bargain, it's a non-negotiable, right? So like, yeah, if you got to sell a house to free up some capital, sell the house to free up the capital.
There's always there's a funny thing. There's when a project goes super sideways, there's only 3 of us that ever show up. It's 1 or 2 of the field guys. They know who they are. Shout out to them. And it's me and Steve. That's it.
Yeah.
There ain't nobody else comes to the rescue. When I'm on the job site working, it's bad.
Yeah.
It's bad. Like it is bad. But I think again, I mean, you're not, it doesn't matter if your company's been in business 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, I talk to guys that have been in business 30 years. Shit goes sideways. This is construction,
It's always going to go sideways.
Yeah, and I tell people that I'm upfront with it. Even our sales pitch, I'm like, listen, we're all going to be happy day one. You probably are going to be ready to see me go on the last day.
Yeah.
But
we're
again,
problem solvers.
I mean, I think it's always going to be that way. And for us, it's, and I agree with you. I'm not to say that I was one of them guys that always say you pivoted too much. I did think that to a regard, but I think you were more bouncing around in the sense of the market and trying to understand your dynamic because you're driven by something different than I'm driven by. You're driven more by the creative side. You're driven by the freedom to go express yourself in certain ways.
Yeah.
Your daughter's beautiful. She's older. She's almost doesn't need you at this point.
Yeah.
Like, you have those freedoms now. So you're chasing something different than a lot of people, Shout out to you. You were the one who said you never stay around. Now you're married. Didn't think he was going to do that either, but he's married. And no, it's been
to a beautiful life.
That's what I'm saying. So, from what I think, me and you coming from the street sense and coming from incarceration and coming from being down and coming from the chaos of that world to the chaos of this world to both having beautiful families, being very happy.
We're blessed.
Yes. We talk about it all the time.
So Bryan was late, and so I ran over to a flip we're doing in Mount Lebanon, and I got a new tile guy over there. And we've been vibing in similar age, similar backgrounds, both kind of have a checkered past, things along those lines. And I was lightweight preaching to him just because we are so fortunate to be in the position that we are in. I like to try to surround myself with like-minded individuals, but also facilitate as many opportunities as I can because I'm blessed, right? And people took a chance on me and gave me an opportunity. And so it's very important for me to be able to kind of facilitate that as well. But the biggest thing that I've learned, I'd say over probably the last 4 years, is enjoying the journey, regardless of it. You and I talked about it. I'll never forget what you said when you're like, I realize that I'm living my dream. So regardless of like how stressed out we're getting, like you're playing the game on a major scale. You just bought $1 million building. You're building tremendous amount of houses, and you guys are executing on a very high level. Being the business owners and perfectionists that we are, we're never satisfied with how we're executing, so we're always going to be down on ourselves. I get a lot of feedback all the time that I'm my biggest critic because I'm always focused on the negative and how we can improve, and then a lot of people are like, bro, you're blowing the doors off of the rest of these guys. But at the end of the day, there's just always opportunity for growth. But I think that's the biggest part is like, regardless of where you're at in the journey of life and business, is one, understand the destination is truly the journey. If you can become comfortable being uncomfortable, you're winning. I think that's the biggest thing to being successful in life at all. I think that's why we both wake up at 4:30 or 5 in the morning. That's why we do the ice baths and all the crazy shit that we do, right? Is trying to just rewire how we tick. So I would say that's the biggest thing, and it translates to whether you're in construction, real estate, any other industry.
And then there's always reminders of like that person's there.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the biggest thing, like it is for, you know, in the last, you know, week or 2 weeks, and it's been heavy, man. And I've been in a shit mood, for sure. For fucking sure. You know, last, like.
Because of the pressure.
It's massive.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's massive.
And that's where people don't really
It's
understand.
massive, dog.
Yeah.
It is so massive. And it's massive in the sense of, just like you, I get people hit me up all the time, like, oh, I need an opportunity, yada, yada, yada. Nobody ever gave us shit.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, I had a dude from high school reach out to me. We just hired him. It was actually an opportune time. One of our guys is going to go out and start his own thing and do whatever.
God
and
bless him.
Yeah, for sure. Told him that today. So, listen, man, you ever need any game? Like, you know, you got my number, but best of luck to you.
Shit's not easy.
No, it's so fucking hard. But, you know, a lot of the guys come in battered and broken.
Yep.
You know, and you always want to put them back on that track, or you see some, you know, unique thing, whether it's, you know, my aunt, who is my office manager now, who was going through some things personally at the time, and, you know, we both crossed paths at the right time. I needed her just as much as she needed me. You know, I always told Bob, my project manager, like, bro, I'm going to scoop you. Like, I'm going to take care of you, bro. Like, I genuinely will, you know, and that was 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Plucked him, you know, and I'm always a dude that tries to keep his word.
Yeah.
And, you know, my selections coordinator, who was originally our office manager or administrator, we worked with her, and she's learned construction, and she came from, she was a bartender at, you know, steak restaurant. Like, you know, to see where these people have evolved to, you know, Steve, we've all had the ups and downs, and Steve's, you know, got on his game and taking things serious. And, you know, we just did 75 hard together, and he was the most highest performer on that, which was incredible.
He quit eating cookies?
I quit eating cookies too. I did too. But, you know, to a unique thing of even our administrator, who she's 21 and she's so fucking gifted, like smart, you know, came from trauma, you know, so creative, you know, uses all of our social media stuff with no ChatGPT. Everything's free form. You know, she does all of our marketing stuff now, but she's also 21, has her own homes, going to Penn State.
Oh, she's
like, you know, has had a multiple year relationship with her boyfriend, like has it together. Like, you know, and it's extremely unique to see all the guys who, you know, are climbing the rank and just we're all becoming better people in the same sense.
And to be able to facilitate that opportunity, right?
But that's what makes the game heavy, right?
Yeah.
Because you love everybody
For sure.
so much.
Yeah. And you're directly responsible
For everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you're able to kind of speak on the people that come from the trauma and the unique individuals that we cross paths with in this industry, construction specifically, because at the end of the day, most of us are fuck ups. When you're able to channel your pain and your trauma into fuel, you have an unfair advantage over the average individual. Whenever I do write a book, it's going to be titled Perspective, because I think you could turn any negative situation into a blessing as long as you change your perspective. I think a lot of people are slaves to their own mindset, and I think it's a fucked up perspective, and I think the norm is a fucked up perspective. That's where you get the victim mentality and all that bullshit, right? Because we can both sit and say, oh, well, life's so much harder because I made mistakes when I was so much younger. Fuck that. Or I can wake up at 4:30 in the morning, be blessed that I even have the opportunity, and go hard as fuck.
Yeah,
and
every
leave
day.
it all out on the floor.
Every day.
And understand people are going to judge. People are going to hate. You're going to get
100%.
your 1-star reviews for your bullshit. You're going to get quoted out by different contractors. But we're blessed to just play the game. So that
We're blessed to not be in jail or dead. Yeah, you know, I don't take back, and I think, you know, when we look at the circumstances and the situations that we've really played, you know, and it is hard because I'm on that poor me shit right now, no doubt, and I'm like,
well, get the fuck out of that shit.
No shit. I had talked to my shit about that this morning. I'm like, you got one fucking day, brother. Like, you feel bad for your goddamn self. You can fuck back up.
The fuck out of that shit
for sure. And it's just like I tried it today, then some shit. Just the second I roll out of bed, I'm like, oh my. But no, it's you know, again, we've all talked about that in the same sense of, you know, when you see our kids and they're growing up to be nothing like us, that's everything I've ever wanted.
Yeah,
it's the only thing I've ever wanted. And to see you, and that was the strong part early on when I seen you and your daughter and how gifted she is in the sense of, you know, how she interacts and how smart she is and how she was able to interpret and interact through the chaos to come out the other side of that thing with no chaos.
Well, once again, I think it's all about perspective, right? So some people can be crippled with trauma, and others can, once again, use it as fuel to, hey, I realize I don't want to live a life like that. I don't want to be exposed to that. I think everything's a learning experience, right? And then it's just a matter of how you kind of implement it. So like for me, and I was laughing with my wife yesterday as we're training to go climb a mountain. So we're going on hikes and crazy weight in the pack and all that kind of stuff, which to a lot of people, that would be uncomfortable and a shitty way to spend the day. But for us, we love it, right? And we really want to push ourselves and challenge ourselves. But I wouldn't change anything. Yes. Do I regret some of the decisions that I've made? For sure. Would I make different decisions if I had the opportunity? Absolutely. But because of all the pain and trauma and bullshit that I put myself through and it was exposed to, my perspective is I am blessed. It is a rare occasion that I wake up unhappy. Yes, work is very stressful. Yes, there's a lot of responsibilities. Yes, I get angry and overwhelmed just like everybody else. But we are very fortunate just to be able to play the game. And life is extremely short, right? Yeah. And if you are not pursuing to live your greatest life and become the greatest version of you, I would highly challenge you to do so. But yeah, man, even if it's not in business. And if it is in business, you can't be good in business if you're not good in life. I've been through a lot of partnerships. I've been through a lot of failed partnerships. And that's the biggest thing that I like to share with people is like, you cannot be successful in business if you're not successful at life, right? So it starts with your own personal discipline. Goes back to during COVID, you made all those financial cuts and personal things and tightened up your personal discipline. And then over the next 2 to 3 years, you thrived in business, right? Because you made adjustments on the personal level. And I do think Apex was a great play for you because it was great timing. And it goes back to who we're exposed to and who we spend time with, right?
I still talk to them. I still talk to them dudes every Monday.
As you should.
And it's been 2.5 years.
Accountability.
Yeah.
Right?
Every Monday.
They've always said it. You're most like the 5 people you spend the most time with, right? We've all heard that shit. We decided to spend our time with gangsters, and we both ended up in prison, right?
Yep. Fast track.
Right. These days, the friendships are much different. But my daughter, she just turned 18. And the thing I told her, and when I sent her a card and all this kind of stuff, is you are the author of your book, right? So if you want to go hang out with some hood motherfuckers, you're going to get exposed to the bullshit and trauma that comes with it. If you want to go to college, hey, you're the author of the book. You want to go be a business owner, you better be ready for some stress, right? But that's the fortunate opportunity that we have is we are the author of our book. Make the most of it. Surround yourself with great people. Don't tolerate bullshit. I don't know. It's fun, bro.
I love it.
I enjoy it.
I love it. Well, man, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you, sir.
We've done good on this. Me and you have had numerous conversations from drive back from New York City. We've done it all. We rolled, we played the game together. And
we got pulled over going to New York City. And
they gave me a sobriety test.
They gave Bryan a sobriety test.
For smoking weed.
Then took his rolled joints.
And then we rolled
some joints at the gas station, baby. That's go.
One more exit.
This motherfucker's crazy. I had to get his wife's number because I'm like, fuck, bro.
I sent her the mile marker and my lawyer's number because I thought.
I know. I still have your wife's number just in case. This fucker still lives that life.
Oh shit. No, it's been great, man. I look up to you in so many different ways, dude, because you and I really understand the game, the how bad it can really get, and how far we've come. You know, I look forward to seeing you do some incredible shit, man, because you are by far one of the most hardest working, detail-oriented guys in the sense of there's a few little things that we need to tweak on the operational side. I need help on my shit too, and that's where we're here for each other. It is, and you had me thinking when you told me, bro, I need to focus more on my friends and show up. That fucking fucked with me.
When we had dinner,
That fucked with me.
he wanted to come swing his big dick because he's doing $10 million in sales and shit. And my whole thing was, who I'm spending my time with, who I'm surrounding myself with, because my values and shit that I value has shifted. Right. I always used to be only motivated by money. I got money hungry tattooed on my stomach. I strictly valued materialistic bullshit. Right. And as you mature, fortunately, we have the opportunity to change how we live and how we operate. And so what I value now is experiences, relationships. I want to be surrounded by good people doing good shit. I have zero tolerance for negative energy. I don't give a fuck if you're a family member. I'm blocking your number. And that's it. And I would encourage everybody to be that way because so many people get dragged down by other people's bullshit. We all have a hard time. And it's important to be there for one another and be supportive. But
we also need to call each other out on their shit.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's an absolute thing that needs to happen.
100%.
It's just, it is what it is.
That's what true friends do.
Yeah,
100%.
Right?
I'm not a perfect motherfucker.
No.
Every once in a while, I get my coattail pulled.
Yep. Me too.
Me
fucking too.
But that's where the relationships are so important.
I appreciate you, man. I really do. I value our friendship more than you'll ever know, dude. I mean, I look at you as you're genuinely one of my greatest friends ever. I mean, fucking ever.
Appreciate it, brother.
All right, everybody. Hope you enjoy.